Hi folks, Astronomy Live. Some of you might recently have seen this meme picture claiming to show that former space station commander Chris Hadfield stole a photo from an album cover by the band Remedy Drive. This was in response to a recent event on the space station where a hole was discovered and a leak had to be patched in the orbital module of a Soyuz capsule. Here's a closer look at the photo in question. It's an example of orbital debris damage on a panel that was recovered by NASA after a mission by the space shuttle to repair a satellite. That mission was STS-41C in 1984, and the Space Shuttle Challenger conducted a repair mission of the Solar Maximum mission. You can see this documented in the IMAX film The Dream is Alive. Since NASA is a taxpayer-funded organization, that picture of orbital debris damage is available for public use, which is why the band selected it for their album cover. Since the incident, the band has responded both on Facebook and Twitter to people claiming that the photo was stolen from them. In fact, Chris Hadfield himself replied to Remedy Drive and thanked them for clarifying the situation. The band's lead singer David agreed to do an interview with me. They also made their Commodity album available as a free digital download, which you can find as a link in the video description. Alright, so this is going to be, I'll try not to take too much of your valuable time, and again, thank you for coming on. So I just wanted to go over some recent events that your band was involved in. So when were you first aware of this sort of meme going about that Chris Hadfield's picture was actually stolen from your album cover?
I was actually down in Latin America. I volunteer with a counter-trafficking organization. So I think I do undercover work down there. I help find evidence of sex trafficking. And I was out, and I just glanced at my phone, and I saw a couple things. I didn't have time to really digest what was going on. So I didn't realize the whole scope of whatever happened with Hadfield and everything. So because I was so busy, it took me a few days to actually, because I needed a computer to really put my thoughts together. That's why it took me so long to respond to it.
Sure. So when you were working on the Commodity album, what were you looking for when you picked that photo for your album cover? Because that was a Creative Commons photo that NASA originally had taken, right? And then your band used it for their album cover. So what were some of the things that influenced that decision? What were you looking for with that picture?
So in 2012, there was an organization that helped expose this warlord named Joseph Kony.
Okay.
And he would kidnap boys and force them into slavery. They had to fight in his wars, and their sisters were child brides of his generals. And I watched that documentary, the Invisible Children documentary, with my daughter. My daughter's like, "Dad, why doesn't God protect those boys?" And when I was writing the album Commodity, the song Commodity, the first line in it says, "I don't need a Band-Aid for my bullet hole," a line that I got that Taylor Swift used a few years after me, but I got it from Shannon Sedgwick Davis's interview, and she's one of the women that was really instrumental in helping to really push back Kony's influence, Joseph Kony, the warlord, his influence. So I looked up bullet hole. It was either me or my friend Jeremy Cowart that put together the Commodity music video that ended up finding that image, and it's in that video. And then my brother Philip Zock designed the album cover, and he loved that image. I thought it was a bullet hole on the Creative Commons. I didn't know it was a NASA image.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it didn't seem like the themes of the album were really going for sort of a space angle. You were going for a bullet hole angle. And so you were just looking for a photo of a hole, basically, that looked like a bullet hole.
I think one of us, it was either me or Jeremy, we just typed in bullet hole into Creative Commons, and that was one of the images that showed up that was available for free use.
Oh, yes. Okay. That makes sense.
But, I mean, the absurdity, though, that somebody like myself that is way into alternative news, way into conspiracy theory, way into reading and listening to podcasts about the Nephilim, and the occult history of NASA and von Braun and the Nazi, the paperclip Operation High Jump. These are all things that I'm fascinated by and spent a lot of time researching ever since I've been in high school. So we're talking about 96, 97. Mm-hmm. I went to UFO conferences in high school at the University of Nebraska, Omaha.
Oh, wow.
and read all about Russia and their Air Force, and how they don't allow their air pilots, since like the early 90s, they didn't allow their pilots to chase unidentified aerial phenomenon anymore. So it was like the chances for me that this thing happened and played out in the way it did, it was just, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, you don't seem like the kind of guy who's, bought off by NASA, or the government came in and sat down with you and had a talk and said, here's the story you're going to come out with to explain this photo. Like if this were a real conspiracy, you'd be all over it. But, it turns out that you just, your band got the photo from NASA, and it's a representative photo. For your band, it's representative of a bullet hole. For Chris Hadfield, it's representative of orbital debris, puncturing a hole. But so that's, I'm sure that's really interesting for you too. Now, have you seen some of the memes that have come out since then? There's one video I just looked up a little while ago, says Chris Hadfield sings his heart out. They took your, I think your first song off the Commodity album, and they dubbed it over Chris Hadfield singing on some late night show, I think up in Canada or something. So I don't know if you've seen that video.
I've seen it. I can kind of see I saw that. I mean, the comment sections have been really fun, especially on the Instagram post and on my official post on Facebook, and even on Reddit to see our band's name showing up on Reddit. I saw it, and honestly, a lot of that stuff kind of, I think, costs the movement a little bit of credibility. Yeah. If I'm totally honest with you, some of the, because people from the outside, if the goal is to convince people that there is something going on, that maybe the moon landing isn't what we were all told that it was, and such, they already think that people that have questions like that, they call us all sorts of names, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. So I think some of the memes and some of the dialogue contributes to a loss of credibility for alternative news sources.
I wanted to kind of talk about that for a minute too, because I think that's really interesting that your band is working with this anti-trafficking organization. I've kind of got acquaintances and friends with some of the people in a different organization, Joy International, which does similar sort of thing. But I wondered if you could talk for a minute about what Exodus Road does as its mission, and what have its activities been lately.
So the mission of Exodus Road is to find and free slaves, concentrating on underage girls that are caught in sex trafficking. So in Latin America right now, which I was just down there, I'm going again very soon, you have an influx of refugees running from the collapse of the Venezuelan currency, right? So they're just looking for some sort of employment outside of the country, and they end up in countries near there. And several of the governments of the countries in that area, including the country that I go to, are really trying to help out, because traffickers will pick these girls off very easily. They prey on the most vulnerable and the most marginalized and the poorest. And a lot of times, like when I go to Asia or Southeast Asia, it's those girls that lack education. Maybe somebody makes a bribe or makes a loan to a farmer, right? And when monsoon season comes and his crops fail, she's collateral for that loan, and she's not quite sure what she's getting into. She thought maybe it's a legitimate restaurant job, or maybe a girl that gets trafficked from Latin America over to Asia thinks it's like a high-end prostitution job, and it ends up to be a form of debt bondage, indentured service. And so we want to find evidence of that, which is sometimes hard, because in some of these countries, prostitution is legal. And so we do undercover work. There's a lot of us, like myself, that volunteer, that fly over. We recruit people also at our concerts to help out. But then our real goal is to prop up the nationals, the people that live in that country that we're going into, and enabling them and empowering them to take care of the daughters and the sons of their country.
Excellent. So what can people do to help out?
With the Exodus Road, there's been so many cool things that in the Remedy Drive community that people have done to raise funds, which is a really important way to help, is fundraising. One girl ran a 5K in stiletto high heels.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it raised funds, and it also raised awareness and helped in her community and with her online influence let people know this is an issue. If you text our band's first name, Remedy, to 51555, so Remedy to 51555, you get updates on your phone of when a rescue happens, which those are exciting times for me. And sometimes it might be like 5 girls rescued in India. We're working here stateside. We got amazing technology, or you could put an operative in the field for one night. It's kind of a cool, for $35 a month, you can pay to cover one guy's operating costs for that evening, which is kind of it's not gimmicky, but it's kind of like about what it costs for a night of operations. And every night is different. Sometimes we're in dance clubs or brothels or on red light streets. Maybe I'm in a car, go slow down the street, and there's a 15-year-old being sold. Sometimes in the public square. Sometimes in the clubs they'll have them behind glass, like an aquarium. And so we'll be sitting on this side, and guys are over here smoking and drinking. And there's a bunch of girls, many of them teenagers, with numbers on their bikini tops and bikini bottoms, just being sold to tourists. Sex tourism is a real thing. Men fly from here in America all the way to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, or all the way to Brazil or Colombia or Peru to get away with what's very difficult and expensive and dangerous here is oftentimes less dangerous and cheaper, and we're out to drive that down into the shadows.
So thank you again for your time, and is there anything else you want to say about this incident or anything else that you think we should know?
Well, I want to make sure, because now these communities have collided. There's obviously a lot of communities. I don't know where you fall in the mix. There's the flat Earth community. There's the alternative media community. Then there's just the NASA, just fans of space in general see this whole thing playing out.
That's me. I don't know if you can see my shirt. I've got like stupid little constellations on it and stuff.
Yeah.
That's definitely me.
So we're all coming at it from these different viewpoints, and some of those viewpoints are overlapping. I just wish people were a lot more respectful and kind in the comment sections, especially when it's on my real estate, man. If it's on my page, it's on my Instagram, be respectful to each other. And I love I don't think the Earth is flat. I told them, like, because it's probably 90% flat earthers like commenting on this stuff and thinking they've caught NASA in a bold-faced lie, which I agree. I think Hadfield used a representative photo. I think that's the right way to say it. But I just wish they were kind in the way they talked about it, and some of those memes, they're just ridiculous, and it's not going to win people over with it, like this mean-spirited gotcha type mentality.
Yeah.
So that's that. I would leave you with that.
I want to thank our guest, David Zak and Remedy Drive, for helping clear up this situation, and in the near future, I will be doing a fundraising drive on this channel for Exodus Road, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and as always, clear skies, folks.